This is Matt once again. What you're about to review, there's another paid request, this time for Charles Turner. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos, topics, reactions, commentaries, lists, randomness, whatever, feel free to send them either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And this is for a film called Lars and the Real Girl. We'll say, bit of a weird movie, but also a very quiet, well-acted movie. Funny enough, from the same director as the Fright Night remake and Cruella, although I like this film much more than those two. It stars Ryan Gosling, who's an actor I enjoy from Blade Runner 2049 and Drive from 2011, among others. He plays a very, very shy guy named Lars. His brother and his brother's wife live in a house while he lives in the garage. And he's very shy with everything. He goes to work. There's this very nice lady who likes him, but he's very shy around her. He's shy in church. He's trying to fix something very quiet. And when the little thing falls, he's like very, very much in his shell. And I thought the acting was fairly good. Like I said, I like Ryan Gosling. It's a very different role compared to the films I mentioned. Very interesting to see Ryan Gosling as this very shy, meek, quiet guy. I like the girl who plays the brother's wife because she's very friendly with Lars. Even like friendly tackles him to try to invite him to dinner. And she's being very nice to him. And then one day, he says he has a girlfriend, but he bought a sex doll off the internet. But he treats the doll not for sex, but as a person. And, of course, the brother and the brother's wife are weirded out by this. But this is one of those films, it's a quiet movie that's not going for obvious cheap jokes. I mean, I wouldn't say it was a funny movie, but it's kind of a little bit of a heartfelt movie. I would say it's a little bit of a heartfelt film where you feel a bit bad. You feel bad for Lars and whether, how realistic this is, of course, but it's kind of nice that you have this whole town that kind of gets behind putting up a facade to pretend and go along with this guy that this is a real girl, because even the psychiatrist is going, obviously there's some issues. This is a delusion. He's a very nice guy, but we come to find out this is his way of dealing with loneliness. Where the brother comes to the realization that when he left early on and left his younger brother with the dad, and maybe that affected Ryan Gosling's character, whether it be abandonment, whether being stuck with this guy, this father figure who didn't know how to raise him, all sorts of other stuff. The thing that they don't really get deep in the matter as to why he became this way. It's just, okay, he's lonely, he's shy, and the people interacting with him and interacting with the real girl, how their reactions make him feel more comfortable. He's not comfortable talking with real people, but he's comfortable talking to this thing because it's not going to talk back to him or anything. And this town, through their teamwork, are kind of breaking his shell down more and more, so he comes more and more out of his shell. And there's some nice moments, like the brother regretting, I left home as fast as I could. I didn't think about him. and he moved into our garage like a goddamn dog. And this is the brother talking to his wife, his own wife, about Ryan Gosling's character and feeling bad for what happened. Or how there's a point where Ryan Gosling is chopping wood, saying, you don't care, no one cares. As the brother's wife just unleashes, like, what are you talking about? Of course we care. Look, we're doing all this for you because they actually liked you, and we're doing all this stuff, and you know, again, still not fighting the delusion that she's fake, but we take her everywhere, and guess what? She's a pretty big, heavy girl. Really trying to make him realize that many people do care about him. Again, it's this slow unpackaging of getting him out of his shell. Like I say, it doesn't really go much into the meat of the matter as to why he got to this. At least to me, it didn't. I mean, you did assume because of growing up with the dad, but it didn't really go in depth as to what happened during that time period. You just had the idea that he was lonely. And of course, my cynical nature is like, okay, I don't believe that entire town would help this one guy go along with this crazy idea. There would be people talking shit. There would be people starting up fights. There would be people taking it, ripping it apart, poking a hole in it, stabbing it just to be assholes, or humping it just to be There'd be a lot of assholes. So it's one of those things that, suspension of disbelief has to be applied, I guess. But it just, I keep saying it's a quiet movie because it's not a lot of cheap jokes, or it's not a lot of sitcom music. Oh, look how crazy this is. He got a blow-up doll for a wife. Ha ha ha. Cue the laugh track. It's not that type of movie, not in the slightest. But it does have some nice quiet moments between characters. Ryan Gosling getting to know his co-worker. Like his co-worker and this other guy, they have this argument between her teddy bear and his action figures. So as a joke, he hangs her teddy bear. And she's not upset about that. She's upset about her boyfriend break up with her. And so, again, Ryan Gosling coming more out of his shell. He's trying to cheer her up. So he gets the teddy bear and does a fake CPR. See, he's okay now. And, it's nice when he finally starts letting people shake his hand. Because earlier he said that if someone touched him, it felt like it burned, which that was less and less so. And you see how when he comes more and more of our shell, and out of his shell, he needs this girl less and less, to the point that she dies, and then they have a funeral, and then finally he's able to fully be out of his shell and live a life normal, whatever normal is, but normal-ish life. I mean, it's not a film that, if it's labeled as a comedy, wouldn't say I really laughed. Really at all. It's more like, it's a quaint little quirky drama, which a very different kind of plot that, again, you think with this type of thing it would go for cheap, sex jokes, potty humor. It doesn't do that. It's, I like Ryan Gosling. I think that helps. I like him as an actor. It's a very different type of role for him. I guess the little bit of humor is just the awkwardness of him having this doll, in church or at the waiting office of the doctor, and but at the same time, it's a little bit of a feel-good. As unrealistic as it is, it's still a kind of a feel-good feeling of this town using teamwork to help this one individual out because they like him. That's why it kind of has a bit of a sweet nature to it. It has... I would say it barely has a soundtrack because I barely remember any music, which is probably why I keep thinking of the word quiet. And like the few times people yell is when the brother's wife is yelling at him when he's chopping wood. Of course we care. What do you think we're doing this for? Very, very few times anyone rises their voice up to any big levels of a decibel. And at least it's not generic. I wouldn't say it's a generic typical plot. So that made it at least a little bit interesting to see where it would go. And I liked Ryan Gosling's character, felt sorry for him, wanted him to get better. I just wish they delved a bit more into why he became that way. Like, what's the actual bottom of the barrel reason for it? And if they did attempt it, I wish they would have done more. And so it'd be even more of a depth to the film, a bit more depth to the story and to the main character. I'm not saying you have to go with the fact, oh, he was abused or anything. I'm just saying just a little bit more, maybe simple conversations where he lets this slip to the brother's wife. He lets this slip to the brother himself. And he keeps letting these other little flashback, not that we see flashback, but these little nudges of information on what happened in the past. Like, hey, I remember this one moment. Or you know what? For some reason, it made me think of this one moment. Like these little asides. So you add them all together. Oh, okay, now I have an even better understanding of what's going on. Because the closest you get to see this is when the brother's like, I shouldn't have left you alone with him. The brother talking about the dad. Maybe some people feel that's all you needed. I would not have minded a little bit more. But I mean, it's a sweet little harmless movie, independent film that, if you like Ryan Gosling, it's worth a watch at least for that. Which I am a fan of Ryan Gosling. It's not a film I'll rewatch again because as a comedy, it didn't really make me laugh or bust a gut and as a drama, it was sweet, but it was nothing I felt any gravitas or any deep emotional inkling afterward. It was okay. That was a movie and it came out and it was a bit different, which I appreciate, especially compared to nowadays where everything feels like the same fucking thing. Only they're pushing shitload of agendas down your throat. Or it's just lazy shit where you remember this? We're gonna remake it and remake it and remake it. So at least it's a little bit different off the beaten path. I know this is a shorter video, but it's pretty simple to the point. And you watch the trailer and you find out if you want to see it for yourself. Again, for me, it's being able to move on, dealing with loneliness in a way, for someone to come out of a shell, how with the help of community, family, even strangers, you can be able to be more free in what you can say, how you can behave, which is not too bad of a message. So with that said, thanks for watching. The direction, it's basic, but it's fine. Same with the cinematography. There's really nothing busy work style to it to really come into. It's more of, the writing is decent, the acting, the quirky idea. That's more into play than the direction. The direction, there's camera work wise, again, cinematography wise, there's nothing that stuck out to me. It's fine. Music, very limited use of music, which I'm guessing was on purpose. And overall, not a bad movie, not a bad film. So with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye bye.